Okay, today we're going to talk about building a form that will allow a user to make a selection and then jump to a section of the form based on the answer that they just chose. So on this form, I am asking the user to select whether they are a parent, a student, or a teacher. And then based on that answer, they're going to jump to the section that pertains to them. So how are we going to do that? So let's put our question in edit mode just by clicking on it. I'm going to take it off. You can see my three dots are the three vertical dots. The more options will give us the option to say go to section based on that answer. Now I already have my sections built. I have parents, I have a section for students, and I have a section for teachers. Okay, so I need to make sure that in this line I go to section and I select parents. And I'm going to do the same for each of my options, making sure that I get them in the right section. So just for sake of review, we're going to add another section here. And notice that it went right after the question that I just created. And I'm going to say, I am an administrator. Okay, so I'm going to make sure that I put that as a choice in my original question. Okay. All right, so a couple things I want to point out. We did, and I think I better put this one, I am an administrator. That is section 2 now, because that's where I entered my question. I could have gone to the end of my form and added it there, and it doesn't matter that they are out of order. It's not going to affect what the user sees, but if we want to move this section, we can. And so we can use the three dots, and I want to move it. I want to make that my last choice, so I'm going to now use the carets to drop one back. Now this section is section 3. I'm going to continue to make it goes after students. I want it to be after teachers. There's the section I want it to go to, and so I hit save. It's one of the few times within the Google Suite that you do need to hit save. Up here in settings, that's the other time that you need to hit save when you make changes there. Okay, so now we have a section of questions developed just for parents. And if you notice here, after section 2, it says to continue to the next section. Well, the next section is developed for students. So I don't want them to see that. That's not relevant to them. After they've answered all the questions that are relevant to them within the parents section, I'm going to use this drop down and I'm going to select that they're ready to submit the form. I'm going to do that for each section for this particular form. At the end of section 3, which is developed just for students, they are going to submit the form. If I had another section for them to move to, I could have jumped them there, but it's not necessary. I do want to point out that when a teacher is going to answer this particular question, and I want you to see that it is a drop-down menu that, I'm going to back this out for just a second, that jumping to the next section based on an answer choice also works for the drop-down options. So I have created a series of questions based on what grade is being taught. So in this question, if they answer that they've teach 1, 2, 3, or 4, I want them to go to the correct section of questions. So again, go to question or section based on answer, and here we're going to select section 6. Those are the questions that I have developed for that grade band. Same thing, so I can have multiple answers going to the same section. For grades 5, 6, 7, and 8, I want them to go to a different section of questions that we've already set up. And once they are done with this section, they need to submit the form. So we need to make sure we've done that. All right, and here's where I can then, I never developed any questions specific to an administrator, so I need to do that. And which building do you teach? Not teach, but work. And I can make it building 1. You get the idea. And then again, after they've answered all the questions that I develop for the administrators, they need to submit. Okay, I hope you are comfortable with that and able to take off and create all kinds of form questions, sections,